Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles, and today's video is another one of those double action replays that I seem to like doing so much, only this one is a little bit different to all of the ones that I've done before. Normally when I do one of these double or even triple action replays, it's 2 or 3 guys all platooned up on the same team, and I'm showing you the action from the perspective of the platoon mates, and we do have a platoon of 2 T57 Heavies here, but I'm only going to be showing you this battle from the perspective of one of them, because the second perspective is going to be from the point of view of the VK4502B on the enemy team. But back to the T57 Heavy platoon for the moment. This is Oscar VCP and his platoon mate Blue Husky, both in T57 Heavy's American Tier 10 Heavy autoloading tanks. They both have 4-shot 120mm autoloaders with 400 damage per shot and 258mm of penetration. This tank can do around about 1600 damage in a very, very short space of time. And 2 of them platooned together can be just about unstoppable if they're allowed to gang up on lone enemy tanks with 1600 damage each, 3200 damage potential. That's enough to take a mouse from full health to dead, providing they manage to penetrate with every shot they fire. And they have 258mm of penetration. It's also a pretty mobile tank, certainly on a city map where you're not really driving over rough ground. I mean, it's no T10 by any stretch of the imagination, but it's definitely not slow, and you can comfortably expect to reach and exceed speeds of 30 kilometers per hour. And oh, there's his first victim. There's 1, there's 2. No, he hasn't managed to get away, and there's the first victim of the game. 3 shots fired, 1 left. Oscar VCP possibly going to go for a reload now. Doesn't have to worry too much because Blue Husky is there. He's still got all 4 shots ready to go, covering him while he reloads. And this is the strength of a T57 Heavy platoon. They can cover each other while one tank reloads, and if they have to unload whoop-ass, 3,200 points worth of whoop-ass can be unloaded by both of them at the same time in a very, very short period of time. Oscar's still loading. Now he's loaded. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. This is not going to end well for somebody. The T10 is so dead. And there we go, Oscar's second victim. He's got 1 shot left. The E4 comes around the corner, puts 1 into Blue Husky, does over 700 damage. Oscar uses his last shot to blow the tracks off the E4 to give Blue Husky the opportunity to get around him and pump the remainder of his shots into him. The E4 obviously burns his repair kit. He doesn't want to get outflanked by a T57 Heavy, but, well, what he wants and what he's going to get are 2 entirely different things, because he's just been outflanked by 2 T57 Heavies. Now, Oscar's desperately trying to finish him off before he can fire again, but he does manage to get another shot off. Does a substantial amount of damage to Blue Husky, but Oscar manages to finish him with 1 shot remaining and goes for the reload. They're both reloading now. Of course, the Leopard prototype over there on 60% health doesn't know that, but, well, if you were in a Leopard prototype on 60% health, even if you knew that these 2 T57 Heavies were reloading, there's no way you can do enough damage to kill both of them before they've reloaded, and they're going to end you. So the Leopard prototype makes a very smart decision and hauls ass out there. For now, however, we're going to leave the T57 Heavy platoon and we're going to go and take a look at our friend in the VK4502B, the very appropriately named, if not entirely correctly spelled, Gargantua. The 4502B couldn't be any more different to the T57 Heavy if it tried. It's certainly not particularly fast. It is ridiculously well armoured, particularly from the front. The gun's alright though, kind of low DPM, but it's a good solid 128mm tank gun. But it's the armour of this thing. From the front, look, that was a direct hit from a T49 firing 152mm high explosive. It barely scratched the paintwork. And this is what the VK4502B does. It just sits there with enemies to the front, slightly angled, and just takes its time killing them. I've been in Tier 10 tanks shooting at the front of this thing from the other end of the battlefield, just bouncing harmlessly off the frontal armour. Firing guns that have 250 plus millimeters of penetration. Hell, the ISU-152 with 286mm of penetration can and will bounce off the front of the VK4502B, because if you take the VK4502B and you angle it towards your enemies at an angle of around about 25 to 30 degrees, you've just made your frontal armour effectively 300 plus millimeters thick, and yes, side armour 400 millimeters thick. This thing is a tough tank. Doesn't it have frontal weak spots? It does, but not as many as it used to. Oh, there's the T49. Oh, that one missed. Still, he's been spotted. He's a light tank. He's going to die. He fires a shot. It misses. He reverses. I hear these light tanks are a bit faster going forwards than they are going backwards. Maybe you should try that next time. Anyway, T49's dead, and Gargantua has got himself the arse of a nice big fat Chinese tier 10 heavy tank. That's the 113. Well armoured tank. Not so much from this kind of angle, however. Now here you're going to see the weakness of the VK4502B, and it's the low DPM, the slow reload on this hard hitting, because it does 490 average damage, 128mm gun. You can take any number of shots from the front in this tank, but it takes its time putting return fire in the opposite direction. And that's something that the 4502B has in common with the other tier 9 German heavy tank, the E75. They both have the same substandard damage per minute, unmodified, of 1872, and that's down to the reload. They are both very, very strong tanks, however, in a stand-up, knockdown, drag-out fight, and that's because of the armour protection. The advantage that the E75 has, as Gargantua claims his first kill, and the scores are very, very even in this match, there's not a huge amount of tanks left. Pay attention, by the way, to that T28 prototype. We're going to be seeing a lot of him during the course of this battle. But the E75's advantage over the VK4502B is that it has a 10 mile per hour better top speed. Ooh, Gargantua actually took some damage there. Wow. The 59 pattern, cheeky little bugger. We can't let him get away with that. Gargantua, finish him. Or maybe him. Well, is the gun reloaded? The gun is reloaded. Hey, he's done some damage and bounced even more damage from the front. Got to get around the assistance of the T28 prototype there, who is actually doing quite well by himself. Come on, reload the gun. Reload the gun. Reload the bloody gun. There it is. And bingo, he's dead. Oh, Gargantua just took some more damage there, and it damaged his ammo rack. If you get a shot into the side, unangled, of the VK4502B, please take it. Because you're not going to get many opportunities to get through the armour of this tank. It does have better armour than the E75. The E75 has better mobility, although it has less horsepower. It actually has a worse specific power rating than the VK4502B, but the top speed of the 4502B is only 30 kilometers per hour. The E75 can manage 40. Right, at this point it's 3 against 2, and all 3 of the friendly tanks are down in the southern end of the map. So how did things get into this kind of state? Let's swap back to the T57 Heavy platoon and see what they've been doing while Gargantua was cleaning up on the eastern side of the map. When we last saw Oscar and Blue Husky, they were reloading as the Leopard prototype beat a hasty retreat. Oscar is now reloaded, and he takes his first damaging hit of the game from a Gorilla 15, which knocks out his tracks and his ammo rack. He uses his repair kit on the ammo rack. Wise choice. Now, the Gorilla 15, big gun, just did a lot of damage to him, and he was very lucky that his turret didn't pop off like a cork thanks to that ammo rack hit. But he's going after the Gorilla 15, checking his flanks as he does so. There, trees falling, Gorilla 15 is around the corner. He's almost certainly reloaded by now, and he takes another hit, but there's no way the Gorilla 15 is going to survive, so he's taken a lot of damage there. He's immobilized. Another tree falling. There's the Leopard prototype coming to the assistance of the Gorilla 15, and he thinks he's going to get away, and he's wrong. And, it turns out his initial instinct to run away from the T57 Heavy platoon was the correct one. He was obviously anticipating that the Gorilla 15 was going to be able to put up a bit more of a fight and wouldn't die quite as quickly as he did, but, well, if you make a mistake in a tank like the Leopard prototype, it tends to be fatal, and it was. Right now the scores are dead even, 11 kills per team, and this has been a very, very close match. But these two guys have been very aggressive and trading their health against other enemy tanks. Blue Husky did it against the E4, Oscar did it against the Gorilla 15, and they no longer have enough health to keep doing that. They have to start being careful, otherwise sneaky little ninjas like this AMX 1390 are going to kill them. Well, he did manage to take out Blue Husky, but Oscar managed to rack up yet another kill against the AMX 1390. So Oscar's got himself a Top Gun. but Blue Husky's dead, and his only other surviving teammate is an STA-1 Tier 8 medium tank. All of the surviving enemy tanks can easily penetrate the armour of the STA-1, and Oscar is a 2-shot kill. Oh, there's the LTTB. Ah, he's gotten away. Anyway, Oscar is a 2-shot kill for Gargantua's 128mm gun, and he's a 2-shot kill for the T28 prototype's 120mm gun. So he's gonna have to stop being careful. Normally, at this stage of a battle, you'd expect the surviving enemy tanks who are outnumbered to be sticking together and maximising their firepower, but, well, the STA-1 has other ideas. He's using his mobility instead. Because if he was just going to stick together with Oscar's T57 Heavy, all that would happen is that everybody would shoot at and kill him first. So instead, he's been leading Gargantua a merry chase up the length of the train yard and gave Oscar 2 shots into the side of the VK4502B. Fortunately for Gargantua, only one of those hit and penetrated. Meanwhile, Oscar's going for the reload, his spider senses tingling. That LTTB was last seen heading north and then hooking around to the west, which suggests he's going to try, because what else can you do in a Tier 7 light tank on a city map against a Tier 10 heavy? He's going to try to sneak around behind him. But Oscar isn't falling for it. And that's where the LTTB's cloaking device... Did you see that? He just came out of nowhere. Fortunately for Oscar, although he did take a hit, the LTTB was kind of preoccupied by the, oh my god, T57 Heavy right in front of me, and drove right into the wreck of the T10. And that's where Oscar, on 577 health with no ammunition, dings 1 shot from the front from the VK4502B and another one, which looked like it ricocheted right off his gun mantlet, from the T28 prototype. He should be dead. Even if those shots hadn't penetrated, the T28 prototype had a shot at his inside front drive wheel and should have immobilised him. And he's used his repair kit to repair his ammo rack, which would have left him sitting sideways on in front of a 120 and a 128mm gun. Either way you cut it, Oscar should be dead now, but he's not, and his gun's reloaded. For now, however, we're going to go back to Gargantua, and you can see how the STA-1 baits him into chasing him. There's the shot. His tracks absorb it, no problem. STA-1 doesn't hang around. He's getting out of here. The LTTB is about to go zooming past, and it's at more or less this point where Gargantua drives past Oscar's field of view. The first shot misses as the LTTB goes zipping by. The second one, not so much. Now, from the previous team's perspective, you could see that it looked possible that Gargantua was trying to herd that STA-1 into the loving arms of the T28 prototype, who was last spotted down in the southeastern end of the map. But from this team's perspective, you can see that that was never going to happen. T28 prototype's all the way over there, so the STA-1 is actually quite safe. And it looked for a moment as if the LTTB was going to go after him, but then he saw that Gargantua had turned around, because you're not going to chase an STA-1 in a VK4502B, and so the LTTB is now sneaking around and trying to get behind Oscar's T57 Heavy, but well, we all know how that's going to work out. He has, however, spotted Oscar, and so both Gargantua and the T28 prototype, who will line up here on the corner in anticipation of ambushing Oscar, are now scrambling to get into position and get some shots off. The LTTB's dead. There's Gargantua's shot. Probably was never really going to penetrate. T28 prototype comes up to the corner and fluffs his shot as well, and that is going to be critical. Now put yourself into the position of these two tanks. Neither of them are fast. Neither of them can go faster than 30 kilometers per hour, and the T57 Heavy can easily do 30 kilometers per hour and more, but he's only on 26% health. They need to chase this guy down and attempt to finish him before the STA-1 pops up for a spot of surprise butt sex. But Oscar's outmaneuvered them. He's managed to completely break contact, and that's left Gargantua totally out of position and the T28 prototype scrambling to get into a defensive position as both the T57 Heavy and the STA-1 pop up again. At the same time, these two guys need to nail that T28 prototype before Gargantua makes it all the way back over here to back him up. And for a second it looks as if the T28 prototype is going to make it easy for them, but actually, no, he's not. Oscar constantly checking to his rear, paranoid that Gargantua is going to pop up behind him, and actually no, quite safe. First shot goes for the immobilization, but it doesn't happen. T28 prototype pulls back into cover behind the solid bulk of the VK4502B, and now we've got a bit of a stalemate. But then the T28 prototype has a sudden rush of shit to the brain and comes out sideways on in front of a T57 Heavy. Gargantua leaps in front of him, tries to keep him alive, manages to do a lot of damage to Oscar, who is suddenly not interested in taking another hit. But the STA-1 used the opportunity to get around and put 2 shots into the rear of the T28 prototype, and Oscar has a damaged engine. Remember, he also used his repair kit when he got ammo racked at the start of this battle. And with half of his available engine power, that's going to make it real hard for him to get around there and finish off Oscar. And I think he's just about given up because he knows that the STA-1 is going to be... There's the shot. Can he get the turret round in time? Yes, he can. Oscar sees the opportunity, comes out, bounces the first shot. Oscar, when you're firing at the front of an angled VK4502B, where do you aim? You go for the commander's hatch. And with 1 shot remaining, he manages to finish Gargantua off. So that was a bit of a bummer for Gargantua, who was not a top tier tank, although he's a very strong tier 9 tank, in a tier 10 battle, and did over 6,000 damage and still couldn't win. He did almost double the damage of the next best player on his team. It was the Grilla 15, followed not far behind, by the way, by the T28 prototype, who did exceptionally well considering he's a slow-ass tier 8 in a tier 10 battle on a city map. It's a particular bum deal for Gargantua because he didn't get any Battle Hero awards out of that match, so that was treated as a defeat as far as scoring is concerned for him, despite the fact that he did 6,000 damage, and so that was only a 3rd class mastery badge. But there can only be one winning team, and the star of today's video is most definitely Oscar VCP in the T57 Heavy, who did 7,500 damage, got 8 kills, earned the Radley Walters, got the high caliber, and the Top Gun. There were only 3 other players on his team who even managed to do more than 2,000 damage. One of those, of course, was the STA-1, who did play very, very well, again, for a very thinly armoured tier 8 in a tier 10 match on a city map. He wasn't a particularly nice person, but he was a good player. And it's a testament to how well these 2 guys did that despite the fact that neither of them run premium accounts and they're both playing high tier tanks, neither of them actually lost money on the result of that battle. So let's hear it for Gargantua and Oscar VCP. Sadly, there could only be one winner, but I think we can fairly safely say that the best tank did win. Oscar VCP in the T57 Heavy and Gargantua in the VK4502P. Hope you enjoyed today's video, folks. As always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.